It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.
The champion!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's not waste much time and let's get started. And it was a busy weekend with the who's who of the sporting world either gathered in Ahmedabad to witness what was billed as the biggest clash, India versus Pakistan, at the Cricket World Cup, facing off in a one-day international in India after 11 years. Or over in Mumbai, where the city hosted the International Olympic Committee for its 141st session in India after 40 years. A historic weekend of sorts. New decisions were made, some promises declared, and sporting fans celebrated both these moments. The spirit of cricket won in Ahmedabad and in the boardroom as IOC accepted the inclusion of cricket in its T20 format at the Olympics. So today on the show, there's lots lined up for you. The Cricket World Cup is in its third week and we are beginning to see the fortunes turn. How key will spin be as the tracks start to wear down and the players gear up to fox and outsmart the batter or try and get on top of the wily customers? We speak to someone who knows these subcontinent conditions a little only too well to set up stage 2 of the Cricket World Cup. With cricket making its reappearance at the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles after 128 years, we look at one of the prominent reasons for IOC and ICC to finally see eye to eye. India is the biggest market, consumer and commercial capital of the sport. So we ask, is Virat Kohli the biggest reason for cricket to finally find its place on the biggest sporting spectacle in the world, the Olympics? And it is not just cricket. Few other sporting disciplines are also making its way into the Olympic fold. One of them is lacrosse. What is that sport? What are the rules? What is the format? And who are the best in the business? All of that coming your way. And of course, we have to also get you some snapshots of what are some of the biggest stories from around the world in Sports 360. All right, over in Sports 360, let's start with the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023. Australia won their first game, reviving their World Cup campaign last night. Australia beat Sri Lanka by 5 wickets in Lucknow's Ikana Stadium. The win for the Aussies comes after 2 successive defeats against India and South Africa. In football, Portugal beat Bosnia 5-0 in the Euro qualifiers match last night. Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice for Portugal in what was a one-sided affair. Other prominent players including Bruno Fernandes, Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix also scored. All the 5 goals were scored by Portugal in the first half, leaving a lackluster Bosnian defence demoralised throughout the match. The other big Euro qualifier between Belgium and Sweden was abandoned mid-match due to security concerns. This was after 2 people from Sweden were shot dead in Belgium's capital, Brussels, which was also the venue for the match yesterday. The game was abandoned at 1-1 and spectators were ordered to stay in the stadium after police officials said the shooter was still at large. Evacuations from the stadium began after more than an hour, with the Sweden team getting a police escort to the airport to ensure their safety. And India's star shuttler HS Pranoy has pulled out of the upcoming Denmark and French Opens. Pranoy is still recovering from a back injury which he suffered during his recent bronze medal win at the Asian Games. In Pranoy's absence, the Indian men's badminton contingent will be led by world number 15, Lakshya Sen. Now, there's a saying in cricket, batters win new games, but bowlers, they win new tournaments. And looking at how the World Cup is turning out to be, it feels like the bowlers, particularly the spin bowlers, are going to take charge very soon. It has been a batter's paradise till now. Teams like New Zealand, England and South Africa have batted more above an average of 260 runs per game. But now the pitches are starting to slow down. They are not hard anymore and are losing most of their grass due to constant matches. And this is good news for spin bowlers. As the tournament progresses, pitches face the most wear and tear. And they go from looking like hard green strips to soft, dusty tracks over the course of a few days. On these tracks, there is less bounce and more turn for bowlers. The ball grips the surface more and batters often find it hard to keep up with the varying pace and direction of the spin deliveries. And pitches in South Asia provide ample turn to spinners. Now, before we get into how spinners are set to dominate at this year's World Cup, we'd like to break down the art of spin bowling. There are two basic techniques of spin bowling: wrist and finger spin. This means that depending on the bowler's dominant hand, they either use their wrist or roll their fingers to generate torque on the ball. The ball then rotates mid-flight, sometimes even drifting through the air. Once the spinning ball hits the pitch, it takes a turn to either left or right of the batter, depending on the delivery release and the kind of spin exerted on the ball by the bowler, creating what is called as a spin ball. I know it can get slightly confusing, but I hope you've gotten the drift. But spin bowling is not going to change the course of the World Cup. Every team has brought in a set of spinners for the tournament. In the right arm of spin category, Ravichandran Ashwin, Mujib ur Rahman and Mahesh Theekshana are the most prominent ones. Mujib just in fact recently was the key destructor for Afghanistan in what was a historic win against England. Moving on, in left arm orthodox, Ravindra Jadeja, Shakib Al Hasan and in-form Mitch Santner can change the course of the game with their spin. Santner in fact has already taken the tournament's first fifer. There are no Indian spinners in the right-arm leg spin category, but some of the most well-known players from other teams, Rashid Khan, Adil Rashid and Adam Zampa. Zampa finally turning up the heat to hand Aussies their first win in the World Cup in the third match. And then, of course, there's the most interesting and rare spin bowling category, the left-arm unorthodox spin, where the ball turns from left to right after pitching. And sometimes these bowlers are able to make the ball turn the other way, from right to left. A delivery that is famously known as the googly. The googly is considered as one of the toughest deliveries to play for a right-hand batter. Kuldeep Yadav, Tabraiz Shamsi on your screen there, and Noor Ahmed are the left-arm unorthodox spinners to look out for the World Cup. Of course, Noor yet to get that chance there. He has heavy competition. And these guys are not fiery like the pace bowlers or considered cool enough like the batters, but they are a key community who bring a special skill set that potentially wins matches. Now, I spoke to South Africa's top T20 bowler Tabraiz Shamsi some days ago, and this is what he had to say about the art that is spin bowling.
Yeah, look, it is very difficult being a spinner, especially coming from South Africa. You know, like I mentioned, there's a long history of fast bowling, and that's something that, you know, we've been blessed with. So every country has a way of playing cricket, depending on you know, the skill sets that they are blessed with. And for us, it's been fast bowling. So, you know, being a spinner in South Africa is perhaps tougher than maybe coming from the subcontinent, where spin bowling is trusted a lot more. Spin bowling is your go-to in a sense. Whereas for South Africa, it's different. So, you know, being a youngster in South Africa at that point, you know, things have changed now. You know, we've got quality spin bowlers. We've got Keshav Maharaj, myself, Bjorn Fortuin, even a guy like Simon Harmer that's gone to England and done great things as well. So there's a lot more trust placed in spin bowlers now. And, you know, we've been able to see that, hey, look, we've also got spin bowlers that can win games for the country. So in that sense, the mindset has shifted. But growing up, you know, you sort of don't have many coaches that understand the art of spin bowling. You know, that's what I found when I was growing up. Obviously, at the higher levels, coming up to the national team and stuff like that, you get quality coaching. You have coaches that have, you know, coached around the world and they understand, you know, the things that spin bowlers are capable of. So we're blessed in that sense. But I think definitely coming up through the ranks as a youngster, it is difficult. And you just have to be, you know, sort of self-taught in a way, and just be hard on your skills and know that, you know, you just have to stick to this and it will pay off in the long run.
Well, it isn't easy being a spin bowler, but let's look at the World Cup now and how spinners have performed so far. Now, in the top 3 wicket takers so far, Mitchell Santner is the only spinner. He shares the podium with pacers Jasprit Bumrah and Matt Henry, with all 3 bowlers sitting at 8 wickets apiece. But when it comes to giving away runs, or rather, shall I say, being frugal, spinners have the best figures right now. Ashwin, of course, on top of that list with an economy of just under 4, 3.4, Jasprit Bumrah at 3.44. And of course, Ravindra Jadeja at 3.74. What that essentially means is each of these bowlers are only conceding less than 4 runs and over. Now that is incredible. And all 3 are Indians. As pitches become dustier, spinners are going to become more dangerous, and that'll be tougher for the batters to handle. Now, we also caught up with former India cricketer and a successful exponent of the art of spin bowling, who's been part of the IPL Governing Council too, Pragyan Oja, about how the pitches would start behaving and who would be the key in these conditions. This is what he had to say.
Spinners will be very crucial. That is the reason why if you see a team like Australia is struggling a bit, and a team like Afghanistan doing really well. We saw in Chennai the way Ashwin bowled, and then the way Jadeja has been bowling. We've got someone like Kuldeep Yadav, right at the peak. And I think spinners will really create an impact. But saying that, a team which is smarter, using their spinners really well, it won't be like a rank turner, but it all depends on the think tank and the leadership group, the way they use their spinners and those slower bowlers. It will not only help the spinners, but also bowlers, faster bowlers, mixing up their pace, using their wrist will really help them. And we have seen teams which have done these things correctly have always taken the advantage.
So how will it become easier for spin bowlers to take wickets along the road and along the way here on? Why is it so difficult to score runs against them? Here are some of the ways spin bowlers have an advantage over the pacers in the squad. Over the course of the match, spin bowlers are able to maintain their bowling intensity in all their overs. Now, this is because spin bowling takes a lesser toll on the body, since the balls are flighted and have relatively lower speeds compared to the pace bowlers. Batters get enticed to go for the big shots. We've seen that in the past so many times with batters charging the spinner down the pitch to smack him out of the ground. But a turn here, a deviation there, often leads to a big swing and a miss, sending the batters back to the pavilion. And the guile is what makes batters always second guess, considering subcontinent conditions are where the art of spin bowling truly thrives. Now, it is a mind game to play against spin effectively, but with the pitches getting worn and torn, we are going to be in for some brilliant contests between some wily spinners and some of the most adept batters. Perfect recipe for the second half of the tournament. Now, we have grown up watching Olympics, the thought of the best athletes across every sporting discipline walking out in the colours of their countries, the flag bearer undoubtedly being the biggest hero of the nation or someone who's had the best year, leading the rest of the contingent out onto the main stadium. The music, the lights, the show, the opening ceremony that we would stay up to watch late at night or in the wee hours of the morning, depending on which city was hosting the Olympics. And now to think some of the most successful cricketers will also be among those walking out, well, it just gives me the goosebumps. That in just another 5 years, it will truly be that. The best athletes from almost every sporting discipline all gathered in that one stadium, in that one city. Truly a magnificent sight and a symbol of sport coming together.
It's a historic decision to have cricket in the Olympic Games, and this will only deepen the engagement with not only the 1.4 billion Indians, but with all the South Asian countries. I'm a huge cricket fan, so completely welcome this historic decision.
Now, how cricket finally? Definitely is a question we have asked. The ICC, or the International Cricket Council, has been the one sporting body that has seen most engagement on the social media platform. And rightfully so. The boom of television and sports broadcasts almost coincided with the boom of the biggest league in the world, the Indian Premier League. The fact that it is the most lucrative one in terms of sponsorship, investments, viewership and fan base is what makes this one of the hottest sporting properties in the world. So with the growth of the IPL and hence the flex of the board for cricket of control in India or the BCCI, it is obvious that cricket itself as a sport, despite not being played by a lot of the countries, has seen a massive upswing in following. Now, if you look at the top 5 sporting disciplines in terms of the fan following alone, you know the reason why cricket had to enter the Olympics fold. Football, of course, is undoubtedly leading that list with 3.5 billion fans, about 240 million registered players. Cricket is up there at number 2, 2.5 billion fans. Hockey, ice and field combined, comes in third because it combines 2 different disciplines. We've put it there. Tennis, of course, at 4th, but a far away 4th. And of course, rounding up the top 5, volleyball with 900 million fans. So there was no question for cricket to come in at the LA edition. And the T20 World Cup, co-hosted by West Indies and USA next year, is the perfect precursor to this paradigm shift of cricket going to the US. But every move has to have a catalyst, the main cause for change. And the catalyst for this move has to be India. And by that extension, the world cricket's biggest ambassador, Virat Kohli. The fact that he is one of the best batters in the world and on his way to breaking innumerable batting records is, of course, undeniable. But he's also someone who is marketable. Niccolo Campriani, president of the LA Local Organizing Committee, spoke about the growth and the growing popularity of a sport like cricket in the United States of America. He said, and I quote, "We all recognize the critical importance of a strong digital presence in order to keep the games relevant for the youth, and cricket is offering a unique platform to do so." Think about my friend here, Virat. He is the 3rd most followed athlete in the world on social media. This is the ultimate win-win for LA 2028. Now, Virat Kohli has not just stamped his authority and class as one of the best in the world, but his popularity as we've mentioned before, is immense. In May, he became the first Indian to hit 250 million followers on Instagram. If you just look at the top 3 sporting icons on the basis of their following, there's Cristiano Ronaldo, no surprises there, at more than 600 million. Lionel Messi, of course, comes in second. There's a good gap of more than 100 million between the two. And then there is Virat Kohli, the lone cricketer to the football mega stars. He has left sporting icons like Roger Federer, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Usain Bolt, Serena Williams, and America's baseball legend, Shohei Ohtani, at 6 million, far, far behind. It's a testament that it is not just the sport that is growing in popularity, but more so with its re-inclusions in the Asian and Commonwealth Games. But the biggest player in the sport is one of the main reasons that cricket has become truly global and leaves no option but to be included in the biggest sporting dies. There's just that one question, though, of whether Virat, who will be 39 in 5 years, whether he will feature. Well, MS Dhoni is still alive and kicking as captain of the biggest franchise in IPL, the Chennai Super Kings, so there could be every chance that Virat Kohli, who takes great pride in his fitness and actually leads the way when it comes to being the fittest in the squad, could very well feature in cricket's first foray into Olympics. Continuing with the theme of some sports making a comeback to the Olympics, there's another game that will join the ranks of cricket, lacrosse. Now, in the past, lacrosse has featured in the 1904 and the 1908 editions of the Olympics. Only 3 nations participated both times: Canada, the UK, and the US. And in both those Olympics, Canada bagged the gold medal. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what exactly is lacrosse. How and where did the sport originate, and how did it make it to the Olympics? Now, lacrosse is a contact team sport. It is played with a stick and a ball. The stick has a cup-shaped net which catches the ball and as players try to fling the ball into the opponent's team's goal. The sport draws its origins from the 12th century AD and is believed to have been started by indigenous people who were living in North America. Over the centuries, the sport has been modified due to a high amount of physical contact in lacrosse. Players now wear helmets, padded gloves, elbow guards, and shoulder pads for their safety. There are 10 players on each team. They're divided into attackers, midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers. We know this. The defenders get to use a longer stick, and the net on the goalie stick is wider to make saves a little easier. The regulation time for one whole match is 60 minutes, but it is divided into 4 parts of 15 minutes, pretty much like a hockey game, similar in fact. Lacrosse is played in the men's and women's categories, and there are calls to have mixed team soon. Those are the basic rules of lacrosse. Now, how and why lacrosse made it to the Olympics? The sport is played the most in North America, Canada and the US to be precise. It has a major following in colleges and universities. Some athletes even get full scholarships at American universities for playing lacrosse. But the sport is catching on within other nations as well. There's a World Lacrosse Championship which is held every 4 years. The tournament was first held in 1956 and at least 49 nations have played in this competition over the years since then. But for lacrosse to be included into the Olympics, some rules have been altered. Lacrosse will not feature in the Olympics with the current rules and regulations. Instead, it will be tweaked a bit to make the game a little more interesting, a little more fast-paced and fun for first-time watchers. Instead of 10 players, there will be a 6-on-6 player format. The new format is called Lacrosse Sixes. The match will be compressed into 4 quarters of 8 minutes instead of 4 quarters of 15. Ground is smaller, and the shortened format will reduce the complexities of the game. The Lacrosse Sixes, in fact, was first launched in 2018. It's pretty much similar to the Hockey Sevens, in fact, if you look at it, and it's meant to accelerate global interest in the sport. Lacrosse might just be able to do that on the global stage at the Olympics provides. But we are happy about one thing: a sport that started off centuries ago by Native Americans has been kept alive, passed down, and modified into an exciting sport. We're eager to see more such sporting disciplines enter the Olympics. Cricket and lacrosse seem to have opened the floodgates. That's all the time we have here on the show, but there's always little time for what we call as the last serve, our parting shot. And of course, it has to be David Warner. He always takes the social media by storm. He does whatever he can to be among the people, be the fan favorite. And here he is, helping the people who are working on the stadiums, helping them take the covers off. It's always nice. It's always nice to lend a helping hand, as they say. Quite a crowd favorite here in these parts, David Warner. But thank you so much for staying here and watching Firstpost this episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And as always, I'll see you again tomorrow. For now, bye-bye.